Let me try this again. I was interrupted. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see the other video. So anyway, um, we're going to talk a little bit about hope, and we're going to talk a little bit about uh, collateral damage. Um, I saw a friend of mine today, someone who's very near and dear to me. Beautiful light worker who taught me some really nice meditation techniques years and years ago. She does these other outdoor sessions, and I finally had the opportunity to sit in on one again. I made time, and it was wonderful. It was a good session. It was great seeing her. It was great seeing her regulars and that kind of stuff. And I gave her a bunch of feathers because I had literally hundreds in my car. So it was nice. She mentioned she's writing a book, and she mentioned something about hope, and she was talking a little bit about hope and how, like many things, done in excess, it can be abusive. Um, so, it's kind of a double edged sword. Hope is a great thing, and we should all have hope and hope for things. But at the same time, you can find yourself in these spirals where you're continuously hoping to the point of detriment to oneself that things will change that will never change or that are beyond your control to change. And it was interesting because at the time she was talking about it, I pretty much instantly got it downloaded. And what it said was, hope is the seed we plant that grows into faith. And I think that's true. I've thought about that a lot today. And I think if it's properly cultivated, yes, absolutely. Um, so, yeah, there's that. The other thing we're going to talk about is collateral damage. Is while it is true that you are not necessarily responsible for the happiness, joy, or sadness and misery of the people around you, you do have an effect. Okay, and your behaviors and your actions do have an effect. Um, this is something that early on was something I struggled with. Uh, I have a friend who decided they were going to quote unquote have a meltdown tonight. Basically, they're going to get shit faced. Somebody I'm staying with, although I'm not going to stay there tonight. But the point is I appreciate them giving me the heads up, because the last time they did this, we ended up in a screaming match. And it wasn't so much because of what they did; it was how they treated me while they were under the particular influence of what they were on. They basically utilized me as an emotional punching bag. No, I'm not going to tolerate that from anyone. And I understand everyone needs to check out occasionally. I get it. I'm 100% guilty of that. The difference is I don't just check out for one night. I check out for months and years at a time. I'm an addict, ex-addict, excuse me. Um, this person isn't quite to that extreme, but you know. So they told me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave then. And I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna go sleep in my car tonight because no, I've got to work in the morning, and they don't want to sit down and talk about it. Then okay. Now I could get very angry and resentful. Sure, it's my choice to leave though. It's not like they kicked me out, you know. But what are my options? Stay there and tolerate the behavior, or shrink to fit their space and walk on eggshells all night? Nah, that ain't me. Not no more. So just try to be aware that your actions and decisions do have consequences, and not just in your immediate life. Okay. And at the same time, this is one of those perfect examples. I've said it so many times in these videos. Uh, I don't know what's going on with this particular person. They didn't want to talk about it at the time. But from my perspective, from an outside perspective looking in, everything was actually going pretty well in this person's life. They started a new job recently that's going really well. They're enjoying it. They're pretty much dead on track for getting like an immediate raise after 30 days. Like, there's really nothing majorly wrong. So it lends me to believe that obviously something didn't go the way they wanted it, and now their ego has taken over, and they're having an emotionally guided outburst. Hmm. So yeah, I hope they're okay. I hope they figure it out. I have had numerous conversations with this person over the last year and a half. I have tried to guide them. I have spelled it out in crayon. And here's the sad part. I'm a very tolerant person. I'm very accepting. I'm actually not very judgmental at all. But at the same time, I need to protect myself, and I need to protect my energy. And if this person continues to have this behavior, unfortunately, that means I have to put a lot of distance. My boundaries are going to go up. And one of the ways my boundaries goes up is I usually disconnect, and I put distance up. And unfortunately, I don't want to see this ruin a friendship. I'm not that kind of person. I understand where they're at, and to an extent, and what they're going through, and I understand that this is the only coping mechanism they know of at the time. Cool, I get it. I've been there. I'm not going to hold it against you, but I'm not going to sit around and let you treat me like shit because you don't know how to deal with whatever it is you're struggling to deal with. And we've all been through that. I'm by no means perfect. Um, but the bottom line is this: I'm not going to sit here and hope that they're going to change, because people only change when they want to. If this person truly wants to change their behavior and find a better, healthier coping mechanism, they will. But if they like, you know, just having a complete, total fucking mental and emotional meltdown once every couple of months and getting so shit faced to the point where they're delusional, okay, that's your choice. I'm not going to be around when it happens. You know, just like my ex, when I relapsed and she left me, and rightly so. It hurt like hell, but you know what? I'm grateful for it now. I wouldn't be the person I am now if I didn't go through that. And if I didn't have the resilience and the strength to overcome that pain and that heartache and everything and learn the lessons from it, and take accountability for the part I played. And that was her line in the sand. And I don't hate her or blame her at all for protecting herself against me. I'm sure it was very difficult for her to do that. That I have no doubt. You know, and I get it. I've been on both sides of that coin now. I truly do understand it. But my life's going to go on. Yeah, I'm a little inconvenienced at the moment, but whatever. It was a conversation we had one time, this person, a roommate, about homelessness, and it absolutely terrifies them. And I looked at them and I said, well, it doesn't terrify me. It's not what I want. It's not my first choice. Do I want to live and sleep in my car? No, not really. But at the same time, I want my peace and my serenity. And for a night of inconvenience, kind of like camping, it's really not that inconvenient. It's like when we get sent to the couch. It's like, okay, it's kind of a punishment, but not really. Hate to break it to you, but it's the truth. It's whatever. I just kind of the water off a duck's back, man. I roll with the punches, and that's the thing. I've been through so many self-induced hells. There really isn't anything this world could throw at me that's gonna really knock me that far off my rocker. It really isn't. You know, I've been dead many times over. I've been in jail quite a few times. I've been homeless and destitute quite a few times. And you know what? Every single time I was able to pick myself back up and get back on track. People put so much emphasis on, a house and car, and they're great. They're wonderful. They're convenient. They're lovely. But they can also be a prison. So now you're bound to that and you're stuck with that to an extent. And at the same time, it's easy come, easy go. You know, I I used to do flood and fire cleanup for a company. You know how quick and how many times I've seen just these beautiful, immaculate houses just poof, gone one night. It's great. Problem is, people put so much emphasis on that as a form of security and safety, and it's an illusion. You know, do I want those things? To an extent, sure. Actually, my plan is I'm going to be getting a camper van, and I'm going to get that finished up, and that's all I need. You know, I don't need to impress anyone. I'm over that. And if that's all you're looking at, kind of car I drive, the job I have, whether or not I own a home, that's what makes you think I have my shit together. You've got a lot to learn. My current friend who's having a meltdown right now, they've got a decent car, they just got a new job, it's decent. They own their own home. By all intents and purposes, and according to most social standards, they have their shit together. Yeah, right. That's why they're home alone right now, getting shit faced in their own room by themselves. Not what I would say having your shit together. And it's sad, it's disappointing. But, like they say, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. I've shown them the doorway, I've shown them multiple ways, multiple paths, multiple roads that lead to Rome. They know it up here, but they don't know it here. They can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk yet because they just haven't made that decision that they're worthy of it. They're still chasing attention from other people and outside things. And, you know, I've done my part. I can't drag them through it. They can stand in that doorway all they want, but they're the one who has to make the step through. I wish I could. I really do. My last video, I mentioned it. Now all us light workers and earth angels have just wings. Some of us has horns too, and that's definitely me. And when I went to this meditation session today, we were talking, we were leaving. I mentioned that I have like 2 years and 5 months of sobriety under my belt again, because I've had the longest stretch I had at one point was 4.5 years. And they laughed because I said, "Yeah, I don't have another one." I mean, they're like, "No, you used all your lives up." I said, "You're yeah, I did. I absolutely did." Um, but I kind of look at it like this. It was one last trip through a self-imposed hell to get one more notch on my horns. But the point is this: I've been down those roads so many different ways and so long in my life, and it's for a purpose, and that purpose is because then you can't guide somebody out of that unless you've made it out yourself, and that's pretty much the whole point. you know, I can go back down into hell and I can pull somebody out. Not only because I know the way out, but I've gotten the respect of a lot of the things down there now. That's another story for another time. So, hope. Yes, be hopeful. Plant that seed, cultivate it, let it turn itself into faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the universe. Really, all is in the mind. It's like I was talking to somebody just a few minutes ago. And they're like, "You're not upset and angry about, the fact that you essentially feel put out." I'm like, "No, I'm sad that this person feels like they can't come to me and talk to me instead of jumping off the deep end for a night." But it is what it is. You cannot help people if they don't want to help themselves. So, yeah, I think that's about it for now. A lot of change is coming. Good though. Change is good. Don't let it scare you. It's not that you're incapable of change. It's just that it's unfamiliar. That's all. All right. Blessed be.